Hi friends, welcome back to Victory Gardens by Rain. I am Rain and today we are in my office. Today is January 22nd and it is a snow day here in Georgia and I'm very excited about it. I don't think I've ever been as excited about snow as I have been this year. It's just, I don't know, it just seems extra magical to me. Maybe it's because it's fun snow. It's not like Georgia's sleet and ice and crazy shut down I-85 and the loop. It's nuts, but it's been very nice and fluffy and beautiful. So I'm really enjoying it. But today I'm snuggled under my heated blanket, covered in a sweater, and I am going to show you guys how to read a seed packet. So I've previously posted a video on how to organize your seeds, and I realized that a lot of that organization comes from the information that is on the pack of the seeds, like how it looks. So just an update, my little blue folder, wherever it's at, I ended up having to expand that into 2 different binders. So what I did, this is my vegetable binder. I'm gonna make it super cute and stuff. But what I did is I'm gonna go over this real fast before we talk about seed packets. But I put in different homemade dividers, and there's 5 dividers. It says direct sow, multi-sow, winter sow, seed tray, and a soil block, and that's just how I'm going to sow these seeds. But this entire pack is my January, well, now February's in there too, but like seeds to sow now binder. So this is my binder that I'll pull out, and as I'm going through it, I'll pull these little seeds out and I'll put them in my Go Box right here, which I really am enjoying my Go Box. I've already started some seeds right here, and then if you can see right back there, in there, that's my little homemade janky germination station. So, but she works, so we like her. But anyway, so I updated that, and then this is all the flowers. This is all the flowers that we're doing. And I actually took it a step further in this one because we are going to be selling flowers. So I need to know, we're developing the cut flower garden. And so I've got these separated from perennial to annual. So I know where to put the plant in the garden visually from the tray. So I did do that, but it's still the same divisions: multi-sow, winter sow, seed tray, soil block, all of those things. So eventually, I will put a note here, eventually we will not have seed trays. We're gonna go strictly to our long-term goal is to go 100% plastic free. That is not a feasible goal for us right now because I was very blessed and I was donated a lot of seed trays and different things from a local greenhouse that retired. And so I'm going to use the resource that I have while it's available, which is these trays right here. Well, both of those actually. But eventually I'm going to try to convert our goal is to convert the entire farm to plastic free. So anyway, that's exciting. But yes, so I've got work to do. So make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're going to be starting these seeds. I'm actually going to be doing soil blocks tomorrow. And I hope that when this video comes out, it'll be pretty soon after that, but that we'll post it. But I'm going to be starting these seeds, and you guys make sure you hit that subscribe button and you can follow along with that because there's lots of different ways that we're going to be starting seeds this year. So that's exciting. I'm always so taken aback by how God just designs food. You know, like everyone thinks flowers and plants are pretty, but food is gorgeous. And if I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna look at it and it's gonna be pretty. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I have flowers and herbs everywhere, because I want joy. And because this is a place where you work hard, and if it's fun and you love it and you're spending time in it, and this is a place of worship for me, it's not hard work and it takes it all out. And so I think pretty food adds to that. Okay, so let's get back to the main part of the video, and that is to understand how you read seed packets. So I will say that before we even get started, okay, seed packet information is extremely valuable. There are some things that I personally choose to think differently about, but all of this information is information that you can use to apply to how you're going to steward these seeds. Okay, so in talking about these seed packets, I want to cover 8 different points that you will find located on most every seed packet. Some of them not, some of them sure, but whenever I'm purchasing seeds, I want to make sure that I know this type of information when I purchase the seed. So on your seed packet, the first thing that you're going to notice, the general thing that you're going to notice on them is the plant name, the plant variety, a picture of the plant, and as you continue to look through it, you're going to do, there's a lot number, okay, and that lot number is for recall purposes. So if you're doing an inventory, or if you're, creating a business with this, you want to know this number, this lot number, so that if you are notified, or if you find out through the USDA or whomever or whichever that there's a recall on that lot number, you'll have that information. For regular backyard gardens, and me personally, I don't really care. Okay, so each company that you buy seeds is going to display this information differently. So right here, I've got several different companies that I have purchased seeds from, and I really like them all. I haven't really had a problem with any of these. This is Southern Seed Exposure. This is how they send their seeds in this little baggie. And I really like this because I can take this baggie and put it directly into my folder in the system that I set up, and then take it and put it right back here. And I actually, in my Go box, all of these were clipped together, and my binder clips are all labeled on the way of how, I don't know if you can see that, how I'm gonna sew them. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm such a nerd, but I love it. So you've got this little label, and it is just this. But then you have another, so this is my shared seeds that I'll tell you just a story about Mr. Reed later. But then you have, this is botanical interest right here. Now botanical interest seed packets, man, these suckers need to be framed. I love them. They have a lot of information, which we'll go over in just a bit. But there's those. There's this one. This one looks completely different from the rest of them. Let's see. And the rest of them are botanical interest. So one of the common things, I've got my little notes over here. You see them? That we want to really address is that anytime you plant a seed, there's a specific requirement that needs to happen for this particular seed to be happy and germinate. All right, so some seeds are grown in the fall, some seeds are grown in the summer, and that's because of the light requirements or the soil temperature or different things like that. And that's information that's on these packets. So most seeds packets contain most of the information that you're going to need to grow successfully. So we're going to go over what that is. Okay, so I want to say that while each of these look different, they all generally have the same information on it. So some only have this, and then others have this entire smorgasbord of information. And then botanical interest, actually, if you look at the seed pack, you can open the seed packet carefully and unfold it, which I can do, and I can show that to you. But on the inside is even more information. So this botanical interest has a full growing guide within their seed packet. So that's valuable. Okay, so for this video, we're just going to use this packet right here, parsnips, for me to be able to explain to you the contents of how to read a seed packet. So in this packet, there is information on here that gives us so that we can create the environment in which the seed needs to grow. So there's each seed and each different variety, different things that you're growing need different specific requirements in order for them to grow. Okay. And what the seed packet is doing is it's giving us visual information to put this seed in the best environment that we can, in order, so that we can get the harvest that we want. Each package has different ways of how they say this information, but generally most packets share about 8 different points. Okay. So the generalized, you'll see that there on the front of the package, you'll have a picture of the plant or root or whichever that you'd like to grow, the name of it, like what type of plant it is. This is a parsnip. And then the variety name, okay? And then you'll have the botanical name, which generally is Latin. And that is important to know so that if you're growing, let's say, for example, you're growing carrots and you're going to grow a red carrot, a yellow carrot, a red, cord carrot, and a purple carrot, and a yellow carrot. Okay. Yes, they all come in those colors. Well, if you just put carrot, then you don't know which type it is. And so if you put the variety on there, that helps. But if you're trying to save seed and you want it to be true to that variety name, then you want to use your Latin name, the botanical name. Okay, so you'll also notice on a seed packet, it'll have the price and the weight on there. So this is located in different places on each package. On the Baker Creek ones, they're on the back is the stamp. But the that is going to be on there, the price and then the weight. That's just so that they have a, they keep track of how much they're charging per what you're getting in your packet. Okay, and then it will have on here a lot number right here. It says lot, and it says lot number 1, and then this particular one says 2023, packed for 2023. I will be very clear when I say this to you. There is no expiration date on seeds. Okay, these suckers can last forever as long as they are kept cool and dark. Say it with me. Cool and dark can last forever. All right. Now, the only caveat to that is, and the reason why they have sell by dates on seed packets, is that the germination rate, which means the time that it takes for it to germinate to create a seedling, will, not the time, but the ability to germinate and to create a seedling goes down over time depending on the seed. Corn is a very good example. Corn not planted in the season that it was, right after it was harvested, quickly loses its germination rate. However, most other seeds do not. All right, I have some seeds that are called cave beans that I got that were 1,500 years old. They found it in a cave in Mexico or something. I'm not sure. If I'm wrong, I'll put the details up. But it is so cool how that works. And then M.I. Gardner actually did a video where he found some old seed packets in a frame at an antique store, I think, and he planted them, and boom, now he's got heirloom seeds that he's able to sell from that one little, and I think, don't quote me, but I think it was a variety that had almost gone away. So that was really neat. But yes, seeds do not actually go bad. This is for the germination rate. This date is for the germination rate tracking as a seed company only. Okay, so do not toss your seeds for the love of Pete. Does you no good, baby. Just put them in the ground. All right. So on that, that being said, those are generally, those things that I just mentioned are almost on every single seed packet. Also on every seed packet, you're going to see like a short little description right here of what the plant is and why you want to buy it, kind of like a sales pitch on the plant. It gives you like a little description. This one says, it's surprisingly delicious. Long white roots have sweet, nutty flavor, essential for hearty stews and roast, great for storage through winter. Okay, that to me, you know, obviously I bought the seed packet, that intrigued me. I wanted long storage food for, you know, to provide for my family, but they put that on there so that you'll understand kind of the application of what you're going to get. And it's just a short description of the plant. Now, there are 8 other things that I personally look for on a seed packet when I buy it, or on the description on the website before I purchase the seed. On these little baggies of seeds, there's information on here, but whenever I purchased the seed on the website, there was all of this information was there. So this little thing of seeds, it has the lot number, it has the seed type, it has the how many seeds in there, the weight. It does not have a price on it, but it has a scientific name and a short description, and it also has like a real quick, this is how you grow this, so that you have a reference, but there's more detailed information available too. So, but anyway, we're talking about seed packets. So when I'm shopping for seeds, I tend to look at the hardiness zone, or what they are describing as the hardiness zone. Some seeds like this will have a little map on there that has a color-coded reference, but this one, Baker Creek, the hardiness is described right here, where it says frost tolerant. It takes 95 to 125 days to germinate, which I'll talk more about that. But it says sow in late spring or fall, winter harvest. That means to me, knowing, because I'm a little bit more educated in this, but it tells me that this is a cold, it likes colder soil, and it's more in the colder season type of growing season. Okay, so now let's talk about the back of this particular seed packet. So when you turn it around, there's actually a little picture of the seedling, which I think is so cool. I love that they do that. And then it has another little paragraph describing the seed. It says, all American parsnips thickens early in as little as 95 days. Parsnips have a long culinary history, are versatile and nutritious, and are being added to the menus of many upscale and specialty restaurants. Their tender white carrot-like roots have a sweet and distinctive flavor that is delicious in soups and stews, mashed, stir-fried, or roasted. So this tells me that I can use this, and it can be very versatile in my garden. So for me and my family, this, once we grow it and taste it, this is going to probably be a staple in our garden. This is my first year trying it. I've never really tasted it, but I've heard really, really good things, and I'm very, very excited to grow it. But it says also, the trick to growing the sweetest parsnips, wait to harvest until after the first frost. Cold temperatures change the starch into sugar, making them sweeter. This packet sows up to 28 feet. So I'm actually gonna cheat with that, and we'll talk about that later. But okay, and then it says on here, so that was this little paragraph. So then it says on here, seed information. We're going to talk about that seed information. So you have, it tells you once you put the seed in the ground, there's going to be 10 to 15 days until germination, like till it comes up and it's actually a sprout, like when you can't see it anymore. And then to plant the seed, it tells the seed depth. So when you plant it a 1/2 inch deep. Like that's like that. That's how deep a 1/2 inch is, about right there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. To me, that's kind of deep for, these are very tiny seeds. And you don't think about that. Seed depth is probably one of the most important things that you'll read on a seed package, because it needs, the way that God created seeds is, again, there's specific requirements. So for that seed to be activated, it needs to have a certain amount of moisture. It needs to have a certain amount of soil surrounding it. So because there's a chemical reaction that happens when seeds touch the soil. And when it germinates, it needs to have a certain amount of support. So if your soil level is right here and you need to plant the seed here, but you plant the seed up here, for it to travel from the bottom to the top of the soil, that structure level, that 1/2 inch, is super important, because it needs that amount of space to support the sprout that's coming up. Okay. And that, when new beginner gardeners, when they are planting things, seed depth is the number one thing that I have found where they're finding mistakes in planting the seeds. So pay attention to that on your seed packet. 1/2 inch, that's a big deal. That's deep for, because the general rule across the board is you double the depth, the size of the seed. Okay, so if it's like, the seed is this big, then you double it. And then the seed is, whatever, just that. And then there's another section that says row spacing. Now, this is very important. I want you guys to hear me on this. Row spacing and spacing requirements is the size, they take the size of the full plant. So as big as this sucker could ever get. So a parsnip is going to be, the foliage gets like this, it gets about 12 to 18 inches across. Like, that's the foliage part of it. But the little root situation is like this big, right? So soil spacing is different than the foliage spacing. Are you following me? Click that like and subscribe button if you are. Okay. But the row spacing on here, when they developed this seed packet and this information, it was because of mass ag equipment. They use the equipment to create the spacing. So when you have 18 inches, that's what this is recommended. When you have 18 inches between rows, that was so that the tractor could get in there and do that situation. So for me, the way that I plant parsnips is I use the square foot method, and I plant them with the actual root space spacing in mind, because that foliage is okay to touch. It's okay for them to intermingle and go between, as long as you don't have like disease issues. You do want to make sure you keep that clear. But if this row spacing, it really honestly just tells you the biggest that plant will ever get. That's how much room it'll take on the top side of the garden. Okay. And then it tells you right here, it says thinning. That means that when you sow your seed, a lot of people will just sprinkle seeds into a furrow. And again, that's another mass ag seeding technique. Nothing wrong with that, but that's what that's for. For me, I'm actually taking 1 by 1 seed, creating a grid in the spacing that I'm using, so I don't have to worry about thinning. But a lot of times when like my 4-Us ain't working or whatever, seed more than 1 seed in one spot, and you just come back through and you just snip the additional seedling out of the way, because one of these root crops, you do not want them to crowd each other. Okay. And then it tells you also a maturity date. So that means that usually it takes 95 to 125 days to get this crop to look like this. So that's for me, that's valuable information, because I will actually, when I sow this seed and I see a germinated, and that is from germination too. I will tell you, this is 195 to 125 days plus 10 to 25 days for it to germinate. Okay. Now they can be combined, and you will see, there are some plants that you can harvest early, like you can harvest a carrot or a parsnip whenever you see that it's developed. But for it to be harvest ready, that means that it has produced, and it will start turning the plant's focus will turn towards seed production at that time. That means it's lived its life, it's done its thing, and now, because God just created seeds to multiply, it's going to redirect its growth to produce seeds at that point. So after anywhere between 95 to 25 days, this plant will start that transition. That's what that means. Okay, so after discussing all of this stuff, we're going to go right here to this little part. It says it's sowing instructions. So when to sow, right here, you see that, when to sow indoors and when to sow outside. And then this even lists the special germination instructions, and it says when to sow outside recommended in all caps. That's what it's saying. So what that means is to direct sow. So the terminology is just different here. So when it says when to sow outside, that means when to direct sow, when to put the seed into soil outside in its natural environment. It says recommended, so that tells me that it's recommended to be direct sown into soil. All right, and then it says late spring or early summer, about 4 months before your average first fall frost date. That's a lot. And then in mild climate, which is where I live in a mild climate, it says sow in fall for a harvest the following spring. The ideal soil temperature for germination is 50 to 70 degrees. Now we're going to unpack that whole bunch of information that was just said right there for a minute. So it says when to sow outside, recommended. That means that to direct sow it into the soil. And you can do it 2 different ways. So it tells us that you can go late spring or early summer, which would be March through June, in some places. And then you're harvesting it in the fall after the first frost. Well, for me, being in a mild climate, I'm actually going to sow it now in January, hopefully very soon. Well, I still got a whole week. But now in January, and then I'm going to cover it with my raised bed with a top to create a winter sowing environment, so that I'm sort of skeeching in there in the mild climate thing, to where I can sow it late spring or sow it in fall for harvest in the following spring, but I'm actually creating an environment to where I can have this produce for me in early summer. I hope that made sense. If it doesn't, just please comment your question down below, and I most definitely will come back and answer them for you. And the reason why I feel like I can sort of push the line on these sowing things are 2 reasons. One, seeds just want to grow. When you create the ideal environment for them to grow, they will, because that's what God designed them to do. So when you create this environment to make the seed grow, you're altering the conditions, and that's what we're doing by bringing them inside. That's what we're doing by putting them in a greenhouse and just different things like that. But the really neat thing about the seed package is that it gave me it equipped me with knowledge to where I can manipulate the environment to make sure this crop is grown in a time to where I want to harvest it, by telling me that the seed will germinate in soil that is 50 to 70 degrees. I think that's what that says. Yes, it is. Okay, so that means I know that I can create a mini greenhouse across my raised bed and raise the temperature of the soil in this raised bed and create an environment to where this seed will have all of the requirements that was laid out on this seed package in that particular microenvironment. And guess what? That seed will germinate because I was equipped and I took all of this information and all of the skill set that I have in creating microenvironments and understanding my environment to make the seed grow. And so that's why I'm telling, that was a little advanced class right there, but that's why I feel like it's very important for you to understand the information that is on a seed packet. Information is only as valuable as you apply it, okay? And information also is only information, okay? So I am completely disregarding the spacing requirements on this seed packet because I understand the growth habit, the growth habit of this particular plant. But understanding the information that is on the seed pack is how I was able to translate and move forward with skipping that part. Like I don't have to take up 18 inches of a row in my garden because I know the full picture of the growth of this plant. And so that is why, again, I'm saying this again, but that's why I just really think it's important for you guys to equip yourself now in the middle of January in a snowstorm with how your plants grow, because when we talk about garden planning, that's really going to play into effect. And so with that being said, like I can do this information will equip me to do things like succession sowing and to know that this plant is going to take 10 to 25 days to germinate. Okay, and then an additional 95 to 125 days to become a full-fledged plant that I can harvest and feed my family with. But in the exact same space, I can put radishes, okay, because I'm reading the seed packet and it tells me that the days to germination is 7 to 10 days. And I only have to sow these 1/4 of an inch down the soil. So it'll be a parsnip seed. And then right beside it, not on top of it, but beside it, there'll be like a little layer. And this will be the radish seed, so there's a depth thing there. So I could do like a boop of radish and a boop of parsnip and then a boop of radish and a boop of parsnip. And then I've got 2 crops growing in the same space, knowing that this is only going to take 20 to 30 days from seed to harvest, okay? 7 to 10 days plus 20 to 30 days, okay? So generally about 40-ish days, I will be able to harvest this. So in 40 days, this is just barely a seedling. This is a full-on plant, okay? Now, sidebar, you don't really want to plant these two super close together and harvest this radish while this is still a tender seedling. You might want to put this in for a couple of weeks and then come back behind it. Okay, back to the regular conversation. So because I know the growing conditions and the standard of these, the requirements of these seeds to become a full-fledged plant, I can think layered that way. And when you're in a backyard garden and when you're using a limited amount of space to be able to provide them as much food for your family as you can, you want to think about things like that. And so that's what I wanted to share this video about. And then when you're organizing your seeds, you can organize it into this file folder situation so that it can, with all of that seed packet information in mind. So I know that I can plant, we didn't talk about it. but a lot of plants or a lot of packages will tell you like seed height. So like this one says plants reach 2 to 3 feet tall, and this is a yarrow plant. Okay, so that's another layer of information that I could think about, and I could be like, oh, well, I could put, this is just a theoretical example. I probably wouldn't do this in my garden, but just for the sake of what we talked about today, I could plant a parsnip because this is a root plant, and then also plant radish because it'll be harvested before I need to worry about any of this, and also plant this yarrow somewhere around there. Like while this yarrow is growing, I could be growing vegetables because this is a perennial, and these I can do seasonal and still use the exact same space in a garden. And that is what garden planning is about. And that all starts with organizing your seeds, reading the seed packet, understanding your seed packet, and planning your garden now. So y'all stay tuned, and thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If y'all have any questions, please list them down below. I'm really excited to walk this journey with you, and I hope y'all have a blessed day.